In this video, I'm going to be looking over and reviewing my findings from the focus group research, the focus group that I conducted, which had two media students, a music student, and a photography student. So there's a wide range of people in there with different aspects, a drama student in there too, which could all help link into my film. And just I felt these people, I trusted their opinions, and I trusted the subjects that they are doing. They could give some influential and good advice on my film title. So in this video, I'm literally just going to be looking over the video, watching it. Well, I've already watched it, and just picking out the key parts I thought were very interesting, and reasons whether to keep my film name at Whispers of Yesterday, or finding reasons to change it to something that may be a little bit more suited to my thriller film. But there was a wide range of constructive criticism and positives for the title, and in this video I'm going to hunt them down and find out if the positive outweigh the negatives or vice versa. So the first question I asked them was what they thought generally about the title Whispers of Yesterday. And it got some positive feedback, actually, with Daniel saying that it was intriguing, and he actually went on to say that it actually sounds like a psychological thriller film, which personally I wasn't expecting. I didn't expect them to even think it was a thriller film, as we'll discuss later on in this video from one of the questions that I asked. So I was very happy the fact that Dan said that it sounded like a psychological thriller, and as did Danny, actually. So the fact that from the trailer, from the title, the audience and the focus group seemed to know that it was a thriller film. I did get a hiccup about this in my questionnaire because someone put it sounds like a drama film, which kind of threw me off. But I'm glad that the majority think it sounds like a psychological thriller. And I have a feel like a lot of this would have to do with what the title of the film looks like, as in like the title art and the poster for the film. I need to make it look more like a thriller film than I do a drama film, to make sure that people don't fall into the trap of thinking that Whispers of Yesterday connotes a drama film rather than a thriller film. Sam said that it keeps you guessing. The fact that the Whispers of Yesterday title keeps you guessing would, she said, should bring a larger target audience to the film. And I completely agree with this fact. I like the fact that she said it keeps you guessing about the storyline, because obviously the plot wasn't revealed when I asked them about this. When I asked about the title, we'll make sure the plot, they didn't know about the plot, to see generally what they thought of the title. And the fact that they think it keeps them guessing about the plot, and obviously if people haven't seen the trailer and just hear about the title, they're going to want to watch that trailer because they want to find out about the plot, and it's making them guess. So I feel that this works well, and the fact that it should bring in a larger target audience would mean that I can aim it at a larger range. I was thinking at the certificate of a 15, possibly 12, but no higher than 15 and no lower than 12. So that will be a different video in itself. And finally, Danny just said plainly that the title was interesting. He said nothing more, nothing less. He just said that it was interesting, and he wants to know what the plot's about. And obviously, I didn't tell him what the plot's about, but the fact that he wanted to know, someone in this focus group wasn't just there to speak at the title. He wanted to know what the actual story was, which made me quite chuffed, really, because it shows that people are trying to get more information out of this title and want to know more about what the title is, what the film is about. So overall, from this section, I've realised that they all feel that they want to find out more about the about my thriller film, and I want to find out more about what it has to offer to them. I think this works really well. I think that this is some positive feedback on the title Whispers of Yesterday. Unfortunately, Will did not say anything at this section, which was my own fault for forgetting to ask him, really. He didn't really have anything else to say at the start. Obviously, everyone was a bit nervous. So, unfortunately, I should have really saved this question to the end to find out his personal opinion as well. But he obviously did speak later in the video, so we'll still get to find out his opinion. But overall, the key points from this section is the fact that two people said it sounds like a psychological thriller. Now, that's perfect, because that's more or less what I'm going for. A psychological thriller, maybe just more, maybe a little bit of an action-based thriller, but the original idea is a psychological thriller. So basically, overall, I say that Whispers of Yesterday is a successful title, for the fact that people seem to think that it is a psychological thriller just from the title. And the fact that the title keeps you guessing is going to bring audiences to want to come and see the trailer and the full film because they want to have these answers solved. So overall, a positive first section of the video. So the next question was a simple, did you like the title, or do you personally like the title? And this was a very simple one for everyone to answer because everyone said that yes, they did like the title. So there's not really much to say about this section really, other than the fact that this is a positive, obviously. The fact that they like... I wanted to just quickly ask a very quick personal question to them. Because if everyone has entitled to their own opinion, and everyone has different opinions. So I was thinking that at least one person would say no, they didn't like it. But that didn't seem to be the case. Out of all the 4 people that I brought in, and all the 6 people, sorry, that I asked in my questionnaire, all said to say that they did like the title. So out of the 10 people that have found out about my title, we've got positive reception. So that's a 10 out of 10. So overall, there's not really much else to say about this section because it was a positive look on the title. The fact that each person that has known about the title Whispers Yesterday from my thriller film has thought that it seems like a good title to incorporate. Another question I wanted to ask them, which was something... A lot of these questions were worries that I had based off the questionnaire. So this was very, very much linked into my questionnaire. So this question I asked was, does it sound serious? I asked. And everyone said yes. Everyone said that yes, it does sound like a serious thriller film, which is a really good thing because I was worried that it wasn't going to sound like a thriller film. I was worried it's going to sound too much like a drama film. I was worried it was going to sound like a kind of a joke, like a comedy film. Or maybe not even that. The more thing that got to me about my title was that I thought that people were going to hear it and thought, oh, cheesy. Which I was very worried about. But the fact that there was a negative feedback on it, which I'll get into, but the majority, all 4 of them, said that yes, it does sound like a serious film. However, Dan did say that it does sound a little bit cheesy. And that threw me off because out of all of them, that he even said that it does sound serious. He said, but at the first hearing of the title, it may sound cheesy, were his words in the video. This worries me because I feel that if people don't look into the film, they may think that it's not going to be what they expect, and they might think, oh, just another classic film, movie blockbuster, maybe like a small independent film that they're not really interested in, which I'm found very hard to deal with because to me that may seem like I need to change the film, the fact that people sound cheesy. The fact that once you hear it a couple of times, it doesn't put me on the other level. However, I cannot focus too much on this comment because he said, and it was a serious title, and the other 3 had nothing else to say apart from positive things, that it does sound like a serious thriller film title, that actually they feel has a lot more depth into a title than some films out there today. The only thing they said that it needs is a trailer. Now, obviously, they may have not got the grasp that the whole idea of this project is to make a thriller film trailer. They just said that they found it hard to kind of judge whether it would be a serious film just from the title. They said yes, but they said obviously it could be contrapuntal if the turns out to be a comedy film, which obviously I don't think it sounds like at all, and they didn't think it sounds like. So overall, yes, Whispers of Yesterday does sound serious. I need to make sure that if I develop this further, that it does not sound cheesy. But however, since it was such a small comment made, and he even said himself that once he heard it a few times, it did not sound cheesy. Daniel, this is. I feel that this is not a major thing I need to change, as I feel that everyone else had positive feedback saying it was serious. So I feel that this comment should not hold me back unless more negative feedback is pointed out about the title. So the next question I asked was, does it stand out? And most of them said yes, it does stand out. Danny said it stands out, but I asked him, was it too long? He said it sounded like quite a long title. And he pointed out that it's a long title, with obviously having 3 words in it, Whispers of Yesterday. But when I asked him this question straight after he said it, he said no, it wasn't too long of a title. I conveyed from this that he maybe just thought that this is a longer title than normal, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because also you have films like Taken or Misery, which are just one word, which are short, snappy, which some people like. But you also have very famous films such as Silence of the Lambs or Shutter Island, which all have 2 to 4 words. Silence of the Lambs is. So I asked him if it was too long. He said no, so I'm going to wipe this comment out because he said it could be too long, but the fact that he says no afterwards made me think that he was just pointing out that it's a little bit longer than some other thriller film titles. Sam said, Daniel, said that it's just another thriller film title. Now, this is a negative point in my opinion because the fact that he thinks it's just another thriller film, this could obviously put my target audience to thinking it's just another thriller film, which is a bad thing because if they do think this, then they'll be less likely to come and see the film because they might feel that they've seen it all before. That worries me, the fact that Whispers of Yesterday maybe sound too generic for a thriller film title, because I've planned to make this film different, or at least mostly different from any other film seen before, because if the film was all the same, people would just get bored and stop coming to the theatre. So I want to put my own spin and creation on my own thriller film. The fact that the title may seem like it's just another thriller film is a massive negative to me. Though he said he likes the film, and they said they like the film and that it's interesting and intriguing, they said it may just blend in, and Sam agreed and said it does blend in. However, she did say that it also gives a creepy feel to the film. Now, the creepy feel really gets me interested because, yes, I'm going for a thriller film, not a horror film, but the fact it's creepy, seems creepy, I feel works really well, because if something sounds mysterious and creepy, people will be more interested to find out more about it, and they want to research into the film, which means they'll see the trailer, which means they might go and see the full film. And obviously, I'm not making a full film, I'm only making the trailer. So I only need to get them to that second stage, really, of investigating, then watching the trailer. And I feel that with this creepy vibe of that Sam said the title gives out, I feel this could be a really positive thing for my thriller film title. So I took this as a massive positive, saying it is creepy, because it didn't say it was scary, such as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That sounds scary from the title. Whereas this kind of is a more of an underlay creepy, like Silence of the Lambs. The fact that it's kind of off-putting and it doesn't sound right makes it sound a bit more creepy than the film actually is. And yes, Silence of the Lambs is a freaky film, and yes, I plan to make my film maybe a little bit disturbing, but not too much if I plan to keep it at 12. So I feel that this creepy vibe is a very good thing. And finally, Will said the title, he thinks it's descriptive. He did say he agreed with Sam and Will, but I think that he misunderstood or wasn't listening to what they were saying, because he actually gave some positive feedback on the title, saying that it was actually quite a descriptive title, as I just said. The fact that he said it's descriptive, I think is a very, very good thing, because it portrays more about the film than what he thinks, and I don't think it's going to say too much about the film. However, I am incorporating it to do this, because a descriptive title is going to mean like Deepwater Horizon. That's very descriptive because people know the Deepwater Horizon incident. So going into that film, they know what to expect. Now, I think this could be a good thing, the fact that the audience might expect what to see going into this film, like Will said, or I might keep that creepy feel, which Sam said about, which means people might not know what they're going into. And I think whichever one of these go, more probably the creepy one, and I think it has more effect on the audience. Both these comments, most of the comments were positive. I just need to make sure that no one else feels that this title blends in too much. Because if it blends in, people are going to lose interest in the film. They're not going to want to investigate into it even more or see the trailer. But the creepy, descriptive feel and the fact that it's not too long all portray more positive in this section than negatives. So overall, I'm not willing to change the title over these small comments, because they all equaled out with, if not more, positives in the end. The fifth question that I asked them was see if they know what it's about. And this was quite interesting, actually, because Sam said she didn't know, and Will said he had no idea what the film was about, and he literally said that he had no idea. But he said, also went ahead to say that that is actually a good thing. He thinks it's a good thing that he has no idea what the film's about from the title. And obviously he just said it's descriptive in the past thing, so this confused me a little bit. But he says personally he doesn't actually have any idea without the trailer of what it's about. And he thinks that's a good thing because it will make him more intrigued to go and see the film when the trailer is released, to come and watch the trailer. So that's already from the title is going to get people to want to see my trailer, which is obviously at the end of the day what I want to accomplish. Danny said that the Whispers part sounds like it's a bit more of a horror film and or a psychological thriller. And obviously we've established a psychological thriller, but he said like he didn't say it was a horror film. He said it had hints of horror film in there, which relates back to what Sam said about the title being a bit creepy. So personally, I think this is a really good thing because I feel that having him saying it sounds like a psychological thriller with a hint of horror will bring in that creepiness to make people think, oh, actually, I do want to come and see this film, and just to see what it's about. So I think that works really well. And obviously the fact that, going back to what Will said, that this horror kind of psychological thriller feel it has, but had no idea what it's about at the same time, will all link in together to create this kind of creepy atmosphere around the title. And I feel that if you have this kind of suspenseful, intense atmosphere, which thriller films are known for in the title, that's going to make people realise that this should be a good, decent thriller film and want to come and see it. So personally, I think these are 2 positive comments. And finally, Dan said that he thinks it sounds like a bit of a revenge/remorse story. Now, this was very interesting because some of my storyline's idea revolves around this kind of revenge story, which we'll get into later on in the blog. So personally, I feel that this remorse kind of revenge story could work really well because the fact that the Whispers of Yesterday implies that something happened the day before works in really well with this revenge story. So overall, I feel we had 3 positive comments about a revenge remorse story for my thriller film. I feel the fact that if I incorporate this right, I can entice a really built up creepy atmosphere around my film just from the title. And overall, I feel that actually makes a really good thriller film. The fact that even the title creates this intense, suspenseful atmosphere, who knows what could be actually in the thriller film if I can pull it off correctly, like the idea I have going. I also wanted to ask them, another quick question is, did they think it sounds too like a drama film? Now this links into what I was saying earlier about that I was worried that it doesn't sound like a thriller film. Which is why I was very happy when Danny said it sounds like a psychological thriller. It felt like a weight off my chest knowing that they personally felt it sounded like a thriller film. Because in my questionnaire they said it sounded like a drama. So I asked the question, do they think it sounds too much like a drama film? Now this is a very easy one to analyse because each 4 of them literally just said no and not really any more comments other than no. So there's not really much I can say about it other than I'm relieved because it's only they think it all sounds like a thriller film and they think it sounds nothing like a drama film. And obviously 1 person out of the 10, 9 out of 10 think it sounds like a thriller, 1 thinks it sounds like a drama. It's not a massive difference. So overall I feel that this is positive, saying that no one thinks it sounds like a drama film, and they went on to say that it does sound like a thriller film at least. Some even said a psychological thriller, which is really well because that's what I'm hoping for. So another quick question I asked them was, do they think it's too similar to any other films out there? And once again, this was just another question for my own worries to see what these people, friends of mine and people who all do similar things to, some do media, some do drama, some do photography, just to see what they all thought about the film and to see if I could trust them for their opinion. So I asked them, do they think it's too similar to anything else? And they all said no. It was another very one to analyse here because they all just said no. The only comments we had was from Dan that he thinks it sounds a little bit like Day After Tomorrow. And I presume this is because it's yesterday, day, tomorrow. They all link into like talking about days. But he also said that they have completely different stories. And you can tell they have completely different stories from the title. So this is nothing to worry about. He just wanted to point it out there. But I feel this is nothing to worry about because Whispers of Yesterday, Day After Tomorrow, I feel are completely different titles. They have completely different stories, which he agreed with too. So I think this is another thing not to worry about. So the final question I asked them was a very generic one about if they had any improvements for me for my thriller film. Now they all said no. They said, The only thing they said is once I've made the film, I may want to feel about changing my title, but other than that, they all said no. And I literally don't have anything else to say about this, because if they think it doesn't need any improvements, and I personally like the title, and I don't think needs any improvements, I don't feel there's any need to change the title. I feel like we've had a lot of positive comments coming up, leading up to this point, that I don't feel that there's any need to actually change or develop this title even further. The only thing that someone brought up, which was Will, is he wanted to know what the look of the title is. And obviously, at the moment, for my blog, I just have a very basic, smoky Whispers of Yesterday title. Now, this is literally just because I wanted to point out what my title was, just to give it a little bit of background to make my blog look nice, is literally the only reason, just to experiment on how I would make the title. I would like to make it a lot better than that, just to point that out there. Which got me asking the extra question of, what do they think the art should look like? And Dan literally just said that the wording should be fainter. It should be a little bit fainter, because Whispers are obviously quiet, so the fainter wording, not too sharp, might work quite well. Danny said it should keep with the dark colour feels, because a thriller film should just have these dark, mysterious colours, which works quite well from what we were saying earlier about the creepy kind of vibe that thriller films give off. So the deeper colours really do work. Will asked about the audio. Now, in the actual trailer at the end, when the title pops up, yes, of course there'll be audio. I'm planning to have kind of a three girls whisper Whispers of Yesterday very quietly into a microphone at once, and that's what I'm planning to have. Now, this could change, it could just become music later on, but that's just my beginning idea. Obviously, I won't have any audio for a picture of the title, because that doesn't really make sense, so I presume he was talking about in the actual trailer. So the answer to that question was yes, of course there'll be audio. As I just said, my first idea then, but I'm also tempted just to have maybe a cut off of music and then a hit big drum beat of music all at once to kind of give that intense suspenseful atmosphere. And Sam had the most interesting title idea of having an ear and someone's mouth up to that ear speaking into the ear. Now, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Silence of the Lambs for some reason, with the face and the butterfly on it, as with a mix of the video game Outlast, when it was Outlast DLC downloadable content Whistleblower, where it had someone's mouth with a finger up to the mouth shushing. These kind of ideas, and this is completely different, and I quite like the idea of an ear speaking in the mouth speaking into the ear. I feel that this could be quite generic, and quite obvious that people would expect, but at the same time I still think it's an interesting idea that I could at least develop further and just look into further to see if this has been used before, or if it's something all original. So overall, the any improvements section was very positive. No one had any major improvements for the title at all. The only thing they wanted to find out more about was the art of the title, which I will continue to explore in my coursework as we get closer and closer to the release of the trailer. So overall, I've looked through each question from the focus group, and I think it's quite fair to say that we've had very positive feedback. Each of the four candidates that helped me out here gave me very positive feedback. They gave me some ideas on what I need to look out for, but most of them just want to see the trailer. They kept asking about the trailer and the art of the film. Now, that is also a positive thing in itself, because we can see that people are eager to see what the trailer is about from the title. So the title has obviously intrigued them. As Dan said, even the ones that didn't say it did, has obviously intrigued them, because they're asking what the film's about and what the title's like and what the trailer's like. So they obviously want to see more about this film just from the title. So that is a very positive look on this video. Overall, I think there was more positives than negatives. So I feel I'm going to keep the title Whispers of Yesterday, but I will make a final video after this one, just conveying and portraying that my final decision about what I want my thriller film title to be. But from this focus group, I've had lots of positive and new ideas about the actual film itself, so this has been a very successful video.